All right, so question one, when media is labeled based on the classification of data it contains, what rule is typically applied regarding labels? All right, next question, which of the following administrative processes assist organization in assigning appropriate level of security control to sensitive information? Next question. Susan works for an American company that conducts business with customers in the European Union. What is she likely to have to do if she is responsible for handling personally identifiable information from those customers? All right, next question. What term is used to describe overwriting media to allow for its reuse in an environment operating at the same sensitivity level? All right, next question. What does labeling data allow a DLP system to do? Hello, everyone, and welcome again to 591 Labs. And this is the second video for the CISSP exam preparation series. So again, another introduction about 591 Labs. They are top reputable country for training and certification in the eastern side, like China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Singapore. So they provide a lot of help and insights for candidates who are seeking top certifications like the CISSP, which is of course one of the most reputable certification in the security industry. So in this video, we are going to learn about domain 2, addressing questions associated with domain 2, which is talking about asset security. And also we're going to add some tips and tricks to help you when you are doing on how to answer the exam questions. So let's begin with question 1. Again, remember, if you'd like to take your time to answer the questions on your own first, you can always pause the video. And then once you have your answer, you can resume to check the correct answer afterwards together and the explanation for it as well. All right, so question 1. When media is labeled based on the classification of data it contains, what rule is typically applied regarding labels? A. The data is labeled based on its integrity requirements. B. The media is labeled based on the highest classification level of the data it contains. C. The media is labeled with all levels of classification of the data it contains. And D. The media is labeled with first level of classification of the data it contains. Let me explain what the question really means first. All right, so media like hard disk, for example. The hard disk can have different types of data with different labels, with different categories, like some confidential, some top secret, some internal, some public data, for example. So let's say the hard disk has internal data, public data, and confidential data. So how should we label this hard disk containing the 3 types or classifications of data? So the correct answer, actually, if the data it contains some confidential information, or let's say this is the highest, so that the hard disk should all be labeled as confidential. Although it may have some internal and public data as well, but since it has confidential data on it, so we're going to label the whole hard disk as confidential, which means the correct answer for this one is B. Media is labeled based on the highest classification level of the data it contains. If it has top secret, then the whole media is going to be labeled top secret. Again, although it may have some other data classification levels, but since it has top secret, we cannot separate actually the hard disk. We are going to label the whole hard disk as top secret. All right, next question. Which of the following administrative processes, assist organization in assigning appropriate level of security control through sensitive information. So you would need to assist the organization in assigning appropriate security control. Do you think this would be relevant to what? To clearing, transmission, to remnants, or information classification? So let me explain the answers first. Clearing is when you try to delete the data. Transmitting data is in transfer, being sent from one place to another, from source to destination. Remnants is when you delete the data, some data can still remain available. So this is called the data remnants. And finally, data classification based on its value. So of course, the answer for this one is going to be assist with the security controls. If the data is highly classified, it would require, of course, more than another public data type. Next question. Susan works for an American company that conducts business with customers in the European Union. What is she likely to have to do with if she is responsible for handling personally identifiable information from those customers? Is it to encrypt the data at all times? This. Label and classify the data according to HIPAA as information portal. So this one is concerned with actually the health information associated with American citizens. Or conduct your reassessment to the PCI DSS standard, payment card industry data security standard, credit card and payment card information, or to comply with the standards such as US-EU Privacy Shield. Of course, as you can imagine, the answer for this one is going to be D. D is the correct answer in here. So Privacy Shield compliance help US companies to meet the European Union General Data Protection Regulation, or the GDPR. There are yearly assessments that can be useful, but they are not required, like the HIPAA, PCI DSS, or encrypting the data at all times. All right, next question. What term is used to describe overwriting media to allow for its reuse in an environment operating at the same sensitivity level? Is it clearing? Is it erasing? Is it purging? Or is it sanitization? And if you need to answer, pause, take your time, and then replay the video. So, clearing describes preparing the media for reuse. So that's what the term clearing actually means. When media is cleared, it's unclassified data is written over all addressable location on the media. Once that's completed, the media can be reused. Erasing is deletion of files on media. Purging is more intensive from clearing for reuse in lower security. Lower security, and sanitization is a series of processes that removes the data from a system or media while ensuring that the data is unrecoverable by any means. So that's the difference between clearing, erasing, purging, and sanitization. Clearing is preparing it to be reused. Erasing is deletion of files. Purging is more intensive form of clearing. And sanitization, removing data that should be unrecoverable by all means. Right, next question. What does labeling data allow a DLP system to do? So, is it the DLP system can detect labels and apply appropriate protections? DLP system can adjust labels based on changes in the classification scheme. DLP system can notify the firewall that traffic should be allowed through, or the DLP system can delete unlabeled data. So, data loss prevention, or a DLP, it's a system that can be used in order to make sure the valuable information that we have is not shared by employees with anyone. So we can use the DLP solution. We can use the DLP solution. We can to apply the policies in order to prevent sharing of this valuable internet information through many channels and through many media types. Like, for example, we can prevent sending the data over emails, over copying it to disks, sharing it with the internet. And of course, we cannot hold data, but we can have labels and policy to distinguish the valuable information and prevent this one from being shared by employees intentionally or unintentionally. So labels can be used to assist with this methodology here. So the DLP system can use the labels on the data to determine the appropriate controls to be applied on the data. So in this case, the answer is A. Detect labels and apply appropriate protections. You are selecting a security standard for Windows 10 system that processes credit cards. What security standard is your best choice? A. Microsoft Windows 10 Security Baseline. B. The CIS Windows 10 Baseline, PCI DSS, or the NSA Windows 10 Baseline. So if you remember, as we said, PCI DSS stands for Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. So since the system is going to process credit cards, we can use the recommendation and the standard applied with PCI DSS in order to better secure our systems to avoid any kind of manipulation or breaches to the credit card information that will be handled and processed using this Windows machine. So the answer for this one is C. Next question. Information maintained about an individual that can be distinguished or trace their identity is known as what type of information? Is it PII, personally identifiable information, or PHI, personal health information, or SSN, social security number, or SII, security identity information? So PII actually it refers to any information that can be used to distinguish or trace an individual's identity, like name, social security number, date and place of birth, mother's maiden name, biometric records, and other information that can be linked to individual, like medical, educational, financial, and employment information as well. PHI, personal health information, is health-related information about specific person. Social security number is considered a type of PII, but again, as we said, PII can have a lot of other data as well. So in this case, the answer, of course, is going to be A, And why is A? Actually, this is one of the main tips that can help you with conquering exam questions on your own. Is that first you have to, of course, choose the best answer there is from the choices presented to you. And also, while reading all the answers, you have to, of course, read all the answers and understand them completely. You will find that some of the answers are already included in other answers. So you should take the more broad answer. This is also one of the other techniques that can help you to choose the correct answer in the exam. Next question. What is the primary information security risk to data at rest? Data at rest, we have three data states. Data at rest, data that is saved in a hard disk, for example, or data that is being transferred, data in transfer, being sent from one location to another, or data in use, like data in the processor or in the RAM. This is considered data in use. So when data is saved, it's not moving, it's not used. What is the primary risk that can happen to this data state? Is it improper classification? Is it data breach? Is it decryption? Or is it loss of data integrity? So as you can see, all of the answers are correct, but still we have to choose the best answer. So the biggest threat of data at rest is breach. So data at rest with high level of sensitivity is often encrypted to help prevent this. Decryption is not a significant of threat because maybe we can decrypt the data for our own use. Data integrity could occur, but proper backups can prevent this. And of course, data could be improperly classified, but this is not a primary threat to the data. But then again, even if you apply the same concept that we've talked about earlier, so data actually, loss of data integrity is still included in data breaches as well. So actually, the answer D is already contained in B. So the correct answer for this question is actually B, data breach. What method uses a strong magnetic field to erase media? Is it mag wipe? Is it degaussing? Is it sanitization? Or is it purging? So this methodology of secure erasure is associated with hard disk drives or HDDs. Since hard disk drives, they actually use magnetic disks, sometimes we can do secure erasure of the data on the disk by using this high magnetic field or strong magnetic field in order to erase the data on the disk. Means that this methodology is only applicable or effective with hard disk drives. It's not effective with SSD, solid state drives. So actually the name of this process is degaussing. Degaussing is using a strong magnetic field to erase magnetic media. Mega wipe is a made-up term. This is nothing. There's no such thing as mag wipe. Sanitization is a combination of processes used to remove data from the system or the media to ensure that this cannot be recovered. But so it's the term, but actually using the strong magnetic field. I would say like sanitization is a result of degaussing on hard disk drives. And purging is a form of clearing used on media that will be reused in a lower classification or a lower security environment. Next question. Steve is concerned about the fact that employees leaving his organization were often privy to proprietary information. Which one of the following controls is most effective against this threat? Is it sanitization? Is it non-disclosure agreement? Is it clearing? Is it encryption? So agreements are used to enforce confidentiality agreements with employees and may remain in effect even after the employee leaves the organization. So they will actually have legal obligation and legal consequences if someone breaches a non-disclosure agreement. So that's why the answer B would be most appropriate for the scenario that was presented in the question in here. Next one, what methods are often used to protect data in transit? Is it Telnet, ISDN, UDP? Is it BitLocker and File Vault? Is it AES, Serpent IDEA, or TLS, VPN, and IPsec? I'm going to give you a minute to answer. So as you can imagine, the answer for this one is D, TLS, VPN, and IPsec. These are protocols used to encrypt data in transit. Traversing network or in motion. So TLS, VPN, and IPsec tunnels are all techniques used to protect data in transit. AES, Serpent, and IDEA, all of these are symmetric algorithms. Telnet, ISDN, and UDP are all protocols. BitLockers and File Vaults are used to encrypt data at rest, but they are not protecting data in transit. All right, next one. Which of the following is not one of the European Union GDPR principles? Information must be processed fairly. Information must be deleted within 1 year of acquisition. Information must be maintained securely, and information must be accurate. So there are actually a lot of these information, all of the information here is incorrect except one. Course information must be processed fairly, course must be accurate and maintained securely. But here the answer B must be deleted within 1 year of acquisition. This is not accurate. The GDPR would state that information would have a validity time. Afterwards, it should be deleted. What is this time? It's not actually addressed by the GDPR. So yes, information should have a lifetime, and afterwards it should be deleted. But it did not state that this time has to be 1 year. Could be more, could be less, depending on the information and the situation. Last question. What data rule does a system that is used to process data have? Owner, data owner, data processor, or a custodian? So a system used to process data are data processor. It's like using the data on daily basis for the daily job. This is called data processor. Data owners are typically CEOs or senior staff. Custodian, they grant rights, perform day-to-day tasks. And mission owners are typically programs or information system owned. So the answer for this one is C, data processor. Thank you all for attending today's class at 591 Labs. We hope you find the material informative and helpful. Remember, practice is critical to master any new skill. So review the course content, keep practicing with 591 Lab, help and support. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to contact us. We appreciate your participation. Look forward to seeing you in our future classes and have a great day.